94.1 WHRP, Toni in the morning at DJ Primetime 256. Wellness Wednesday. Here we are, another opportunity to get some great health tips with Dr. Whitney West, who is an OBGYN, also an MDPC. Good morning, Dr. West.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great.
Good morning, Dr. West.
She beat me to the punch. How are you?
I'm well. I am well.
That's what. Hey, we always want to hear that our doctors are well, and sometimes doctors are human too. Just got to check in, you know. Well, this is a very interesting topic because this kind of touches my life these days and a lot of my friends. The menopause. Menopause. What is menopause?
So menopause is a term used to describe the hormonal changes that happen to a woman, typically around, 45 to 55, where the ovaries stop making the estrogen, the female hormone.
And when that happens, what is it? What kind of health issues does it cause? Is it something that we've heard about hot flashes, and I'm guessing that all ties together. But what else health issues can it cause?
Well, most people will equate menopause to hot flashes and night sweats. All right. Somebody's pulling their, got a fan in themselves, but estrogen affects your body 400 different functions from head to toe. So you potentially have 400 different processes in your body that will be affected negatively once that estrogen level starts fluctuating and then declines permanently.
So does that mean that you, even if you're not going through menopause, that estrogen level could drop?
Well, we call the time before you actually stop having a cycle perimenopause, which means around the time of menopause. And unfortunately, that process can take some 7 to 10 years for some women. Like you can start having changes in your cycle. And these are women who still have their uterus, right? So we can talk about them separately, but if you're still having a cycle, it can come more frequently. It can come infrequently, like every couple of months, you're skipping your cycle. And then also you're having the other symptoms. So, so when I say head to toe, I mean your sleep cycle, like you're not getting much sleep, you got insomnia, your concentration, your memory, your mood. So some people are calling you a little irritable.
Everything.
And that's just with the head. We got, decreased sex drive. We got changes with your hair and your skin and and that kind of thing. So again, everybody's response to this process is very different.
So the word men, does that mean men get these symptoms too and all of this?
So I say menopause, but for them, they go through a different process where their testosterone level decreases, and it could be numerous reasons for that happening, and they would have a completely separate workup. But for women, we know the ovary is the location where the majority of your estrogen is produced during the course of your what we call reproductive life. So that time frame when you are, if all things are working well, then you're able to get pregnant. But after menopause, and as we get closer to actually not having a period for 12 months, because that's the definition of menopause, like you've gone through 12 completed months of no cycle, in addition to all the other symptoms that you're having as well.
Well, this Wednesday with Dr. Whitney West, we're talking about menopause. And what else were you going to say, doctor?
Well, after that process happens, the adrenal glands, which is another gland that produces hormones in the body, it'll produce a little bit of estrogen, but not enough to stop the symptoms that are happening because your ovaries have kind of stopped working.
Dr. West, what age does this generally start at?
So average is like mid 40s, 90% of women have gone through menopause by the age of 51. But that depends on, a lot of it depends on when you started your period, how many kids you had, all that kind of stuff. I've had a woman right now, a patient that I've seen recently, who's 55. And unfortunately, she has not finished 12 months of no period. And,
she can have babies.
No,
No?
no. So she, the whole process that, she's not ovulating normally and that kind of stuff. So her periods are irregular. So her hormonal levels are, they're doing this, they're up and down. But we look at the older sister or the mom and see get a guideline for when that patient's going to go through menopause. And both her mom and her sister were in their mid 50s when they stopped having a cycle. So I told her, I said, well, hopefully yours is coming soon. Like you're going to be done soon. Just given what she told me about her family history and stuff like that.
So how harsh can menopause, the transition and all that be on someone? I've heard people talk about depression and loss of appetite and things like that.
Well, it can be devastating. Because a lot of times you don't feel like yourself, right? So your mood, like a mood changes, can be mood swings, and irritability is one, but depression is definitely one especially if you have a history, can worsen. If you're not sleeping as part of one of your symptoms, then I call it being prickly. Like you've not slept in a couple of days, and then you've got some things that come, that hit you, some stressors that hit you, and you handle it differently than you would if you had slept the last 3 nights, right? So, and that compounds, that gets worse the longer that goes on. And then you've got hot flashes or night sweats, and then you've got mood changes, and then you're not sleeping, and then your relationships with others are being affected because of all of this, in addition to your sex drive being off because, it's just off. And then your intimate relationships are affected, right? So it can be a life altering experience, as they call it the change, but that change can be devastating for some people.
Dr. Whitney West, it is Wellness Wednesday, Toni in the morning, and we're talking about menopause. And there's a lot of people who are listening today that are definitely experiencing that. What kind of help can they get?
So obviously there's hormone replacement, and everybody's real nervous about all of that, depending on what they've heard. 20 years ago, there was a study that came out that said stop taking it because it causes breast cancer. And I can go into a lot of detail about that, but I won't. But the information that was given to the public was slanted and incorrect. And the use of hormone replacement should be individual. So that's a discussion that patients should have with their physician regarding whether they should use it or not, what it will do for them, how they use it, what kind, that kind of, because there's different methods and different types of hormone replacement. In addition to that, there are other things that can be used if you are somebody who cannot have hormone replacement because you have other conditions. Let's say like you've had a history of a blood clot or stroke, or cancer. Then there are other things that are non-hormonal that can be used to help your symptoms.
All right. For those that are going through it, on the verge of it happening, you may want to get in contact with Dr. Whitney West. She is an OBGYN, and I know that she's got some tricks up her sleeves. Well, medically, that is. All right. To help you out. How can they get in contact with you, doctor?
Website is www.mdpc.com.
And we would also like a few parting words.
Empower Wellness. It's a journey, not a destination.